Finished training for the day? Time to fight post-workout fatigue with Core Power Protein Shakes. They're packed with 26 grams of high-quality protein to build muscle and electrolytes to help hydrate. The nutrition you need to help your body replenish, rebuild, and repair post-workout so you can power on to the next one. Champion your recovery with Core Power. Visit corepower.com to learn more.
Lowe's knows how to help make your home holiday ready for less. Get Select Style Selections vinyl flooring for just $1.99 per square foot and have it installed before the festivities begin. Our team can help you every step of the way. See a Lowe's Red Vest associate or visit lowes.com/holiday install to get started. Lowe's, we help, you save. Basic install only. Date restrictions apply. Subject to availability. Installed by independent contractors. See associate for details. Contiguous U.S. only.
The United Rugby Championship is back. There's tries galore, upsets aplenty, and no one is left undefeated. And we're here to talk about all of it. This is the URC Rewind. Let's start the show.
You're listening to United Rugby Rewind.
I am joined by the Rugby ABC, the full ABC this week, including South African Alan, Policeman Ben, and that's Caolan. Good evening, gents.
Hi, guys. Good evening. Welcome back, Alan.
Yeah, it's good to be back, I guess.
We're all, I guess. I was about to say we're all delighted to be here. Alan is so to be here. But the fact is that we are here and we're here to talk about rugby, specifically United's Rugby Championship rugby. And we're starting off with the big result of the weekend. The one that we thought this could be the moment, and it was the moment, especially the moment that came after the 80 minutes. Leinster are no longer undefeated in the 2024-2025 season. They have lost away to the Bulls in what is becoming one of the definitive rivalries of the URC. The last time that Leinster lost was away to the Bulls in Pretoria, and they've just done it again. So there is their kryptonite. Alan, you watched this one. Tense.
It's extremely tense. Watching, I know I had a couple of friends who were at the game, and they were texting me throughout the game how messy it was. I think a running theme for the Bulls was frustration. I think there were opportunities there, lots of handling errors, but they don't give up at home. It's a very, very difficult place to go and win. There was the definite wastefulness by the Bulls, which I think was increasingly felt by the South African fans, and a desperation near the end to not blow this. We all know how important this win was for the Bulls, and watching that the Creole lining up for the penalty at the end. I mean, I don't know if you've been watching his kicks over the last couple of rounds and stuff, but he hasn't been the best. So we were kind of watching it.
He got an after 80-minute winner against someone else, though, didn't he? Earlier this season.
I can't remember exactly who it was, but I think he's had a couple of good kicks. But I know he's missed quite a few as well. But obviously, we're thrilled with the win as a Lions supporter. It's pretty on the high felt. It's obviously a tough place to go and win. But Leinster it's good to see the first team pretty much playing. Am I right in saying that it looked like a
strong
pretty
enough
strong
team? I think that took a lot of people by surprise when the team sheet came out and you saw Geordie Barrett, RK Snyman, Limani and things on there. You thought, ooh, that's stronger than they normally send down to South Africa. And Geordie Barrett getting on the scoreboard as well. I'm still loving him being in the URC, but Jake White. I get the sense that Jake White lies awake at night thinking about how to beat Leinster. So he'll be delighted.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think watching him, he was quite frustrated. Watching the game, watching the captain. I don't know if Leinster were all that thrilled with some of the calls as well. But at the end of the day, it is a win. It's a big win for everyone. It probably won't make that much difference in the standings at the end of the season, end of the round robin, but it's a good momentum shift for the Bulls. So it was a really, really, really good win to have. But I think the overarching thing was probably a degree of frustration and then relief to win the game, because they do love their rugby up in Pretoria, and it is a very, very good. It was a good way to get the weekend, to set the weekend in a South African mood, so to speak, I think you could say. So yeah, good, excellent, thrilled.
Absolutely. Caolan, from the Irish point of view, not that you're the biggest Leinster fan in the world, let's be honest about it, but is it fair to say that something went wrong for Leinster, or is it just, look, it's a tough place to go, you can't win them all?
I think it's the second one. It is a tough place to go. Leinster basically had this game won as well. That's the thing. Like it was kind of snatched from them by the Bulls, who kind of looked like they were finding a way to lose it for the last maybe 15 minutes or so. Tough place to go. I'm kind of still taken aback by what you said. Like, I do not hate Leinster. That Lions team was so Irish focused that I picked last week. Like, did you guys not see that or something? But also go check out that podcast, the last of Picking the Pride. But no, look, it's a tough place to go and win. And ultimately, when you looked at the Leinster down 15, you would have backed them. But I think when you looked at Leinster's bench with Soroka, Clarkson, McKee was on there. Even the fact that went 6-2 with Frawley, so Alex Soroka had to come in early because James Caolan got injured. I think it was a sense that Leinster were really up against it to go and get a result. There's a reason why only two teams from the Northern Hemisphere have won there so far, and that's Munster and Glasgow, and that's because it's a tough place to go win.
Sorry, Caolan, do you think that the amount of HIAs so early on in the game had an effect on the Leinster performance?
Definitely. I can't remember who. I know Culhane was one of them. Maybe Will Connors, I'm not 100% sure, was the other, but it definitely had an effect, no doubt about that, Alan. I think it's not ideal. It's not, like, ultimately, it's not something I ever want to see in the game, is a load of HIAs in one game. But it is something that we're seeing more this season, especially, and because I watch an awful lot of the provinces, I'm not happy with how often it happens in games with the provinces are involved. I'll be honest. I've seen it. The Munster-Leinster game in Croke Park, I think it's 5 or 6 in one game, most within the first hour. I hate to say it, to be honest, but it certainly had a factor. Like, and to be fair, like, one of them, like Culhane, and you wish him the best of luck with his recovery, I actually would have started Soroka myself over. So then there's that side of it as well. But it's not being able to use your 6-2 when you're playing at altitude, when you're not used to it. That's a massive factor. And like, no one better to explain it to us than yourself. Like, it's very difficult for a European team to go to altitude at the best times.
But even later on in the game, there were backs being pulled off for HIAs, and there were players who weren't sure why they were being pulled off as well. So it did seem a running theme throughout the first half, definitely.
Someone who definitely had an HIA was that poor Leinster player who got absolutely taken out in the air in one of the most clear-cut red cards you've ever seen.
Yeah, I think so. And I think even the player acknowledged that as he was going off. I think it was pretty clear that it's a red card. But it was a very, very tense game. I think that's the main word you would use it. But, the URC delivers again, doesn't it? So that's what we hope for in these
Delivered
games.
all weekend.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on your point of view. But so another game that absolutely delivered, and well, I'll let Ben talk about it first. Is another defining rivalry of the league is Glasgow versus Munster. Boy, this game delivered. I've only seen the highlights of it because I had to watch the Cardiff game because of what TV channels I had access to. But my goodness, this was exciting.
And of course, it's 10 years since Glasgow beat Munster at the King's Fan in Belfast, and obviously a lot of the old boys there, Tommy Seymour, Ryan Wilson, DTH Van der Merwe, who scored a try in that final before he then went off to the Scarlets, I think, after that.
The best Van der Merwe, DTH.
Yeah, the DTH, the original, the OG. They were obviously all there. It was a bit of a carnival atmosphere. Friday night game at Scotstoun always, things just ride more on a Friday night game at Scotstoun. But yeah, it was a fantastic game, and I think looking at it objectively, Munster will probably be a bit cross that they've come away losing that game. I think they had it sewn up 65 minutes in. Glasgow were not clicking in that the first quarter of that second half. 3 penalties, all mistouched, 2 from Duncan Weir, 1 from Adam Hastings. There was just nothing going for Glasgow for a long while, and Munster really turned the screw on them. Scored some really good tries, but Glasgow, title-winning teams, always just managed to pull it out of the bag at the end, and they did it once again. But yeah, it was a really, really good game and very interesting to watch. And yeah, what do you think, Caolan? Munster unlucky?
It was a game that if you told me beforehand Munster would get a point from this one, I'd have taken it. Scotstoun is such a tough place to go. Again,
one home defeat in 2.5 years.
Yeah, well, that's it. Did I lose the Ospreys last time out? No.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's their only one in the last 2.5 years, I think.
And
Yeah.
well, yeah, season and a half because Munster beat them in the quarterfinals. But yeah,
Right. Yeah.
but like
Okay. Yeah.
it is basically it's 2 in like 3 years. I think is the stat was in my head that I couldn't. It's been a long day, guys. I just couldn't compute it. But no, look, it's a tough place to go, and they're taking a point. Ultimately, it feels like um, it feels like 4 points lost for Munster because I think if they'd gone and won it, they would have got a bonus point, and you wouldn't have taken away from Munster. I think they were probably the better team for large passages, but ultimately, that Munster team down a couple of players versus the Glasgow team down a couple of players, you do start to see why Glasgow are champions, and it is. And I was thinking about this before the game this weekend, doing my own kind of stuff. I on here came on and said, I'm not sure how Glasgow will cope with being champions, being the team that everyone's studying, everyone's chasing. And their form has actually been poor. Like their last 10 games before this, 1-6, lost 4.
Mm-hmm.
They've had some howlers like that. Performance against Harlequins in Europe, for instance, where they just no-showed Siona's first game out. But this was, again, poor performance, but find a way to get over the line. Like it's that old thing. It's championship minutes. It's how to get the job done, knowing how to get the job done. I was very impressed in the last 15 minutes. I think Munster were unlucky for sure. I think that try was definitely one that could have been checked by the TMO as to whether it was grounded.
This
And
is the Macbeth try at the end.
The Macbeth one, yeah, like that one for me
Yeah.
deserved another look. But
Sorry to interrupt. The player that changed the game for Glasgow was Matt Fagerson coming on. Like his third try, that was a momentum switch because there was not a sort of a back row on the pitch before he came on that would have scored that try because his power and guile going through. I think he went through 3 of the Munster players, 5 meters out and just barged through. Glasgow didn't look capable of doing that in the first 65 minutes. George Horn's try aside, which was a moment of pure skill and class, and Glasgow just scored tries out. And George Horn, I think. Glasgow's record try score has gone level with DTH now, I think, on 35, maybe 45 tries each, or 45, 45, 60.
One of the most underrated players in the league, George Horn.
George Horn, yeah. But until Fagerson came on, the game didn't change until he came on.
Well, that's it. And like to mention the George Horn try for a minute, like he was, like he had a really good game. I think a lot of the Glasgow players of the older ilk actually seem to play really, really well. I can't find how many tries he has. Apologies. Maybe someone else could do that. But no, like he played really well. But it was just that was the concerning part about Munster in that first half was Glasgow went through phases, and especially in that, like when they were down to 14 men, they didn't look like scoring. They looked very flat. They looked very blunt. Obviously, Matt Fagerson, as he said, off the bench made a huge difference there. Then first phase try. And that's something that we have seen from Munster more this season than last, where actually getting to the 22 has been the hardest thing opposition can do. But once they get there, once they have Munster on the back foot, their scramble defence is not near as strong as it was. Last year, they were number 1 in the league. I think they're back at mid-table now this year in terms of scramble defence and points conceded per 22 entry, which is really frustrating. But like, if I'm going to say that, I have to hold my hand up to the fact that like you had a Munster back row that typically hasn't worked together in Hodden, Cadell and Coons. Very, very good players in their own right, just never really gelled, played really well. I think you'd attest to that as well, Ben, having watched it. The half-back pairing, not the most defensively sound in Patterson and Butler. Certainly weren't weakness either. They controlled the game really well. Their best performance together. And you had a back three that had simply never played. No 2 of those players had ever played together. Never mind all 3. No 2 of them. And I think when you put it in context, it does feel like a point gained, but after 65 minutes on Friday night, it does feel like 3 or 4 points lost. But that's the URC this season. Like the Dragons are going to say the same thing. Connacht are going to say the same thing. Leinster, the list could go on and on. That's the way the weekend has been. It's been a proper like relegation 6-pointer type weekend, but every game is a relegation 6-pointer.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, a fantastic game. Just a great occasion for the league for me. George Horn has, it's
49.
Well, I'll tell you now.
52.
He's got 14 URC tries, but he has 27 Pro 14 tries. So
he has like 15 in Europe, I think.
Total Glasgow tries, according to All Rugby, is 54.
Oh, because I seen over a century on the picture with him and DTH, but I didn't know you know what I mean? But yeah, that is phenomenal. Has any? I'm trying to think of
He's
any
a
player that scored that many tries in club rugby in the Northern Hemisphere.
I'm pretty sure Gareth Davis for the Scarlets has.
what was Shane Williams like
Scarlett,
for the Ospreys?
I think Tommy Bowe actually scored more tries for the
Tommy
Ospreys.
Bowe scored a lot of tries. Yeah, in that full. Yeah, he would have done. I think he was up 100, few hundred points for Ospreys, wasn't he, when he left? At least.
maybe.
I want to say Tommy Bowe is still the all-time top scorer in the Celtic League and all its various
I'm
versions.
not sure he is. Was it not Tim Visser? Did he not take that?
Tim Visser, they'll be high. He'll be high. Yeah.
This is the straying into pure Barclays
1 second.
style.
Tommy Bowe has 185 points for the Ospreys, which is 37 Ospreys tries. But he has 100 and my God, he has a lot of scores actually. He's 140 for Ulster, 185 for the Ospreys, and then another 170 for Ulster. I'm
You're
going
going
to
to
go
look
with
about
that.
80, 85 tries. That'll be at least, won't it? Almost.
Yeah,
That's a lot of
that's
tries.
phenomenal. And he has 30 for Ireland.
And to think he's hosting daytime TV now.
Morning time TV. He is on Ireland's version of This Morning, but I'm not
Yeah.
going to get into. I'm not going to get into the pop culture references there.
No.
Okay, all right. So we'll move on to what was the other best game of the weekend, which if you just said to anybody, this is going to be one of the best games of the weekend before it was played, they'd have all laughed at you. Sharks versus Zebra. My goodness, 35-34. It's a little bit, United Super Rugby Championship. It's a little bit, calm down, lads. Both teams scoring over 30. We're not here for that. But Sharks were in a hole for a minute there, Alan, and they owe a lot of getting out of that game to some of their star players showed up, none less so than Sia Khaleesi. He's a bit good.
Yeah, he's a very, very good player, isn't he? He's playing some of his best rugby. I think there was always like this thing about Khaleesi when he started his career at the Stormers, and that people were always saying he never really shows up for his province. It's always for the Springboks, and even he acknowledged as much. He stated the same thing. He said in the media, he said, "I play better for the Springboks because that's why we do this." But looking at him play now, he's everywhere. He's amazing. Like, a lot of the Springbok players actually belie their age when they're playing at the moment. It's just a pity that there seems to be a bit of a break when it comes to the systems and structures at the Sharks, because it's very frustrating watching the Sharks, because you thought they had the game after the first two tries and that, and then it was just backwards and forwards. And you are right, it was a lot like Super Rugby days where
Defense is optional.
Yeah, optional defense. And I mean, Zebra, what a performance as well to go there. And it was,
if they'd have won that, it's one of the results ever in Super Rugby in
It's the
URC.
best ever.
Yeah.
I had this conversation with mates at the weekend. It would have been the best ever result, because whatever about like Zebra and like their budgets and the Sharks and their budget, you're talking about a team being propped up by Italian under-20s of recent years versus some of the best players to ever play.
8 on Springboks yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah. They were there.
It would have been, and like I think they deserve a lot of credit. Like Zebra are not. It's not even a case of good performance, guys. Like they're disappointed now that they're not winning these games because they're on such a good run. Like, and I know Hugh, you were on that evening with myself and Mike Petretta of the Fratelli di Rugby. He called it. He said they're gonna uppercut someone, and they have a few times, and like this counts as an uppercut.
Can we see them getting into the playoffs?
It's so tight down there. A run of games.
Yeah, the eighth position is the Stormers on 33 points, and Zebra are on 27.
27, yeah.
Yeah, so they've won 5 games, and if you look at the other teams that have won 5 games, Edinburgh, Connacht, Scarlets, the Lions have only won 6, and they're on 30 points. If you go all the way up to Cardiff have also only won 6 games, and they're on 35 points. I mean, you can't.
Are they 6-1-6? I think, aren't they?
Yeah.
And a lot of those teams have to play each other. Like, I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
Zebra play us in a couple of weeks. They'll beat us at the moment.
Yeah, so Leinster play Glasgow, as we know. The Bulls play Munster. Cardiff play Munster. I think the Stormers have to play. Do the Stormers have to play Glasgow? I could be wrong there.
That sounds right.
Ulster have to play the Stormers. I know they have to play them, possibly the Bulls as well. Um, Benetton have to play Glasgow, I'm pretty sure. Edinburgh is to play Zebra.
Yeah. So
Edinburgh
I
have to
think a
play
lot of those
Ulster.
teams, yeah, they're playing each other, aren't they? So it's
An
still,
awful lot of them, yeah.
yeah. And I would say about the Sharks is when you, as a Sharks, I've watched them for years in Super Rugby and now in the URC, they have this habit of being pretty irregular and then just clicking for a game or two. And I don't know if we've seen that yet from them. I think there's always one
Well,
performance where all of a sudden the fans just forget that, we've been pretty inconsistent. I mean, that might be a South African thing, maybe.
I might
Now
just
that I
jump
think,
in there really quickly. So I have the exact list here. I was looking for it on my spreadsheet. So like for Benetton, for example, they've played Cardiff, Lions, Stormers, Glasgow, and Munster, all playoff contenders.
oof,
Edinburgh have to play
tantalizing.
Sharks, Zebra,
Dragons.
Connacht, Ulster, and the Dragons. They're
are the
probably the
Sharks
exception
playing at
there.
home though? They're not going away for many games now, are they?
The Sharks are
We're
they have
playing Sharks at
Ulster,
home.
they've Ospreys and Scarlets away last two games of the season. But I think
No, it's
apart
at
from
home.
that, it's
It's at
all
home. We're
they're at
going down to
home.
South
Sorry,
Africa. Yeah.
so it's the flip. Sorry, but yeah, they have Ulster, Ospreys, Scarlets on the road. Then, I'm pretty sure. Like Ulster have to play the Stormers, Leinster, Sharks, Munster, Edinburgh. Who else is there in that logjam? Give me a team. Cardiff have to play Benetton, Ospreys, Munster, Bulls, Stormers. So like it's very much. I know there's an awful lot of games left. There's 5 games left, but it seems like all 5 games are just going to be playoff teams. And now it feels like you're at the point where if you can get a point when you lose, that's going to be a massive one come the end of the season. But on the flip side, Leinster just don't even need another win to guarantee top four. I think they need 3 more points to be mathematically guarantee top four. So insane.
Yeah, I don't think there's a clear top four. Last season, there was a clear top four of Leinster, Bulls, Glasgow, Munster. I don't see that at the moment. I think Leinster are clearly the best. I think Glasgow and Bulls will be there and thereabouts. I think fourth is anyone's. Sharks, I can really honestly see because I don't think the Sharks are good. If you look at all their underlying stats, they're not great. Like Glasgow, for example, Glasgow stats are miles clear of the Sharks, but the Sharks have got the players. And sometimes if you've got the players, it's enough. And I can really see it just clicking for the Sharks. They're already, you are the South Africa Shields champions. So they've actually won the last three trophies available to them, they've won. So
They
it's,
do also have a lead over Cardiff. I mean, they're on 44 points, which is only one less than the Bulls, and they've Cardiff on behind them on 35. So they're in a good position to get a home, quarterfinal. But like you're saying, you wonder if they're a good team. Are they a good team? I'm sure the comments will tell us.
oh, well, at least you're not starting on the Stormers or Munster, my goodness. Okay, so before we go any further, I need to try and tell you about something. So we have a kind of association deal. So it's not quite a sponsorship, but we'll say it's a sponsorship for the sake of the podcast. So it's with a website called Distill Union. And we have basically a discount code. So hello, if you fancy buying anything from this, it's basically designer items. So you've got things like wallets, sunglasses, key rings, etc., etc. It's all like kind of just doodads, accessories and things, but it's all designer stuff. It's all quality stuff. It's quite sleek. It's quite modern looking. And there's a relationship that we as a podcast now have with this website. So if you go Distill Union, distill is in like vodka, DISTIL union.com. And if you use the code rugby stuff, all capitals, RUGBYSTUFF, rugby stuff is the code. And if you buy something using that code, you'll get a discount and we get a kickback as a podcast. So it really helps us out. So if anyone fancies supporting the show, go to distillunion.com, use the code rugby stuff, and we'd be very appreciative of that. Cheers. Right, moving swiftly on. And one of us this week was at a rugby match in real life. And it was South African Alan was in Cardiff to watch his Lions team in a controversial defeat away to Cardiff.
Yeah. I love going to Cardiff to watch rugby. I really do. It was dry for half of the game. So, half of the day, I guess you could say. I've never been to Cardiff Arms Park before, and I haven't watched the Lions for long, over 15 years or so. So I was really
Wow.
excited to go to the game. Obviously, they've been in Super Rugby and stuff. So going to the game was a real highlight for me. The result, obviously not. There was a turning point in the game. I felt like I felt like the Lions had all the tools that they could win, and I was really optimistic going into this game. And Cardiff their defense was absolutely immense. I couldn't quite
Which is not something that you say very often about Cardiff.
No, they were absolutely immense on defense. They just wouldn't go away. And I will put my hands up and say that over the past couple of years, a loss to any Welsh team we would have considered as quite embarrassing. But there is a definite theme running through the Welsh teams this year that they are not, apart from the Dragons, and even they tried this weekend. They had a good hit out, but the Welsh teams are definitely better. And there was a lot of conversations I was having with the people around us about why the regions, Cardiff's defence was really good, and you'd like to see some of that bleed into the Welsh team. Quite controversial on some of the referee calls. I think even the Cardiff fans were having a bit of a go at him. I don't think some of the decisions were all agreed on, but I don't have anything to say on that. I think there was the Lions were doing quite well, and then I think there was a turning point when the scrum half Mulder made a hit on Klabakanya and pushed him back.
Yeah, Mulder when he first started playing for Cardiff, people weren't that sold on him, but I thought in this game, I messaged Harley and said, he's playing well. Is he good? And Harley said, he's been getting better every game. He's gotten better.
Yeah, and then from that tackle onwards, I think Cardiff just got a massive lift, and from that point, they just wouldn't go away. And all credit to them. The crowd got behind them. It's it's really good to see that the Cardiff fans got into the game. They were really into it. I wouldn't go charging £6 for a little glass of Prosecco. It's a bit ridiculous. I haven't encountered anything like that before. But very, very, if you can go to a game, that's the game to go and attend. It's really a good day out. But it was awesome day with my wife. She really enjoyed it. But obviously, I'm really disappointed that the Lions didn't take this game. A few weeks back, they had 2 games in hand on every single team, and they haven't capitalized on that. They were 8th going into this game. They picked up a bonus point, and now they sit, I think, 13th in the log. So they've dropped 5 places after all the other games that teams have played. And so it's more of the same from the Sharks as what we've had over the last couple of seasons. And we've had the news that a couple of our players are going to be leaving again. So
yeah, Van der Merwe, Edwill van der Merwe going to the Sharks. That's a weird one for me. I don't get that.
So he's going, and I think there's discussions over whether it's going to be, I think, Sale or the Sharks. I think the Tell Sharks. So frustration is definitely a thing with the Lions, but a massive forward pack. The scrums were really good, but Cardiff, to their credit, didn't go away, and they did deserve the win. I have to put my hands up on that, and so well done, Cardiff. I don't really have too much else to say on that, to be honest with you.
It was a much needed one for Cardiff. It was a bit of a scrappy game at times, and I thought it was quite edgy. It could have gone either way. When Cardiff got 20 points to 17 in the lead, you thought, is that going to be enough? And these two teams are normally playing in quite high-scoring fixtures, particularly Cardiff. So 20 points to 17 is a bit weird as a scoreline between these two. Like I said, you thought the 20 points wouldn't be enough. Yeah, no, if you'd said the most serious game would have been Cardiff versus Lions, no one would have believed you. But yeah, like I said, Cardiff massively needed that. And it's taken them from, I think this is their last home game of the season, I want to say. And it's taken them from are we going to let our playoff place slip away to, we're starting to look a little bit more stable here.
I think if I can just say as well, from the Lions' point of view, in that regard, we now have to go to Glasgow and try and win there. And that's going to that could potentially get very ugly. And then I think we have a run of fixtures which favour us, I think. So.
Well, you see, that's the thing. I think you've said it before in the group chat. For all the talk of, X team has to go to South Africa, there's also the inverse. There's also the likes of the Lions having to face into going to Glasgow, which is very, very difficult. As we discussed a few minutes ago, having taken on Cardiff, who, to their credit, Cardiff are really they're really solid. Like Cardiff are a solid team, especially at home. So I think like for the likes of the Stormers and the Lions who were in that top 8 race, less so the Sharks and Bulls, because I do think I disagree with you. I think they'll push on and make top 4 from here. But this is the thing, like the home away factor. I know it can be so like 1920s to talk about when it comes to sport, but it's absolutely huge when you've two different hemispheres. And like to the Lions' credit, I will back them to beat most teams at home. But going to Cardiff and Glasgow, these could be two games to look back on, and especially at the weekend, tough loss, but it could be one. You could have well see Cardiff in 8th, Lions in 9th, and we're talking about that last minute moment. I hope we're not, because I hate ref chat, but we could be. You never know.
Absolutely, absolutely. Excited for both teams. Excited for both teams. Okay, next game that we need to talk about is Benetton versus Edinburgh. Again, one of the more serious looking scorelines of the weekend. Ben's not happy. So go on, Ben, give us your views on this. Because I can't remember if we talked about it, but Everett was looking a genius after you beat Munster away. Now what?
I'm still firmly Everett is on fraud watch. Where to start with this? We beat Munster 3 weeks ago, played really well, come away with a 5-point win. Go to Benetton yesterday, and in the 78th minute, Freddie Douglas, who's come on for either Hamish Watson or Ben Muncaster, I can't remember, has jackled a really, and this is after Mo Sessi Tupelote gets sent off for a horrific head-on, shoulder to head contact, which I think he's going to get quite a decent ban out of, I'd suspect.
At least he's done something on the pitch, though.
Yeah, I know it's been a very underwhelming season for him, in stark contrast to his brother. So Freddie Douglas wins the ball in the 78th minute, jackals it, turnover, ball goes deep, just outside the Benetton 22. Patrick Harrison throws it in, it's completely burgled. Benetton then run it off to the right wing, and then it comes back inside. The pass out the back to Umanga goes completely horribly wrong, but then Idogru cuts on the inside, throws it out to Izakor, and trundles in from about 45 metres out. And then they missed a conversion, but there was 18-16 at that point. They went 21-18, but our line out was horrendous yesterday. I think that's counted off the top of my head 4 or 5 times we lost the line out went against the head. It was embarrassing. Like we had that game won at 18-11 up yesterday, and then for some reason it just went horribly wrong in the last 20-25 minutes. It's a shame because Ross McCann scores a really good try in the first half. We went down to 14 men. Ben Muncaster got sent to the bin for 10 minutes or mid first half. It was pretty basic facial contact, but anything head to head is going to be a minimum of yellow card now. I was quite annoyed about it at the time because it looked like Ryan Smith kind of rode up towards to kind of make contact with Ben Muncaster as opposed to being anything more than a passive kind of contact. But we scored a try off the back of that. Ross Thompson played really well off first phase, kicked it out to the wing. Ross McCann underneath it goes and runs through and dabs down. Ewan Ashman scores a try quickly, very shortly after half time, sort of 45th, 46th minute, 18-11 up. And then we kind of just ground Benetton down until the sort of 65th, 70th minute. And then it's just we can't manage a game in the last 10, 15 minutes. And there's no structure. It just got messier and messier and messier. And we had 4 or 5 chances to hold that, to run the clock down in the last 5, 10 minutes. And we just didn't. We just made a mess of it. And
how very South African of you, Ben.
It was really disappointing because that's a game there. If we win that, I know it's not a 5-point win, but it's a 4-point win, and it matters because we were sitting in 8th at that point in time. We're now 5 and 8, where we could have been 6 and 7 with the Dragons to come at home, which I'd expect us to win. We do have a decent run in, and Shanklin was talking about this when obviously he was at Rodney Parade yesterday. And they were doing sort of some pre-match coverage, and Edinburgh's running isn't that bad, but we've got to win games like this. We have to, and unfortunately, again, it was just game management the last 5-10 minutes and the line out just not functioning that cost us. Sean Everett has to go at the end of the season. I've said this all season, and I said it at the start of the season. I don't think he's good enough. He's not capable. We have a wealth of internationals there. Granted, they weren't all playing yesterday. Darcy wasn't playing. Duan wasn't playing. Luke Crosby wasn't playing. Jay Ritchie wasn't playing. But there's enough players out there yesterday, and we kept Brexham Manichado pretty quiet. And I think if you keep them quiet, you're usually going to probably win the game. But just sloppy decision making and the inability to do the basics cost us. And again, it's just another game where we've let ourselves down and massively shot ourselves of it. And as the old idiom goes, snatched defeat from the jaws of victory.
Yeah, but from a Benetton point of view, though, just to cover them for a second, it's a much needed win. They were
Yeah.
desperate for a win to keep semblance some respectability for their season. I've said loads of times, look, I think the Benetton should be doing way better with the squad they've got, with the budget they've got. I think they're underperforming. So to get a win on the board was kind of non-negotiable, really. So kind of, like I said, salvages a bit of respectability for them there. All right, next game, the mad game of the weekend, 43 points to 40. Caolan,
Yes.
talking about respectability of the season, Connacht's season is starting to lose a little bit of respectability at the moment away to the Ospreys.
Yeah. I'll get onto that in 2 seconds. Firstly, I just want to say I'm from the province of Connacht. A different conversation. We'll get onto that another time. I'm from Ballinasloe. It's home of the oldest rugby club in the province, who are celebrating 150 years this year. The reason I'm bringing this up is because they won promotion today, and if there's any of the lads listening, I know a couple of them do this as my stuff. A big congratulations to them. Oldest club in Connacht getting back up to the top tier
Yeah.
in the province is great, and it's the home of Matthew Devine, who was heavily involved. But for Connacht, it was, and I've one eye on the Chilean scholarship. I'm going to turn this way because it's distracting me. Uh, it was a poor performance from Connacht, like to concede what 3-4 tries in about a 15-minute spell, including that one for Kasende. You just can't be in that situation. There are rumors
Oh,
around
they all
Connacht
just
at the
switch off
moment.
there. They all think it's going out.
It's yeah, they all just switch off. But like there are rumors around Connacht at the moment about, budgetary issues because they're building the new stadium, about different things in terms of coaching and signings. Like we just seen Andrew Smith go to Munster on a short-term loan, having been really good for them last year, but only playing one game this season. They've lost a couple of players, as I said. There's new coaches coming in next year. Rob Seeb of the Brumbies coming in there as a senior coach. But it's just you just can't shoot 43 points against a team who are kind of on the outside of that top eight battle. Now, Connacht kind of were too, granted, because they still have to go to South Africa. But you just, I don't know, it's really disappointing. They've got their biggest game, probably the second biggest game in the club's history next weekend. They're playing in Castlebar against Munster,
Castlebar, yeah.
in a GA stadium. That's absolutely massive for them. There's going to be like what 25,000 people there. It's just frustrating. But to their credit, I thought some of the younger lads really stood up. I thought Carl Ford had a good game. I thought Matthew Devine off the bench, obviously I'm biased. He was absolutely brilliant. Kind of dragged them back into that in the last 20 minutes. And Darren Murray is in brilliant form at the moment as well. James Hurley Langton mentioned there 17 tackles. I know how good was anyone's tackling at the weekend. You can make that joke, but he just seems to be playing really well as well. Like kind of, it's not a lack of talent. That's the thing. Like it's not. They have the players there. They're just not stringing it together, and it's making for really frustrating viewing, even from a neutral perspective.
Yeah.
I think Connacht and Edinburgh have got a lot in common this season. They've got the talent, but it's not being managed properly. Yeah.
One has a bit more money than the other, but yes.
Yeah.
So from an Ospreys point of view, like this clip, I think perfectly sums it up. At the start of the season, the Ospreys are never playing rugby like this. I think Mark Jones deserves a huge amount of credit for what he's done. Someone mentioned that Ospreys defense has gotten a bit worse, but he was the Ospreys defense coach, so he's now kind of doing everything. And it's just like I posted on Blue Sky that I said that Ospreys are title contenders, and everybody laughed at me. But my reasoning for it is this. They're in white hot form. They're playing some great rugby. They're getting the results. And we've seen time and time again in the URC/Celtic League, especially with an 8-team playoff, you just need to go on a run on the end of the season. And the Ospreys have got a decent run of fixtures. They play the Scarlets next. They've got Cardiff on Judgment Day. And then they've got a tough trip to South Africa after that. But the opportunity is there for them. And like I said, there's a feel-good factor about them and the team on the pitch. And like I said, they're playing rugby that they weren't playing at the beginning of the season. So it's just good vibes all around for the Ospreys. And I do think that I wouldn't rule them out as a semi-final just because they've got the momentum behind them. And Caolan, you and I both know as Munster and Scarlets fans, momentum in the league post Six Nations can take you a long way.
No, I'd agree there. And look, like ultimately, I could talk about Connacht and how it's disappointing and how it's this, that, and the other for 10, 15 minutes, whatever you want. Just give me the number. But on the flip side, like the Ospreys said, they don't win this game last year. Do you know what I mean? It's a very different type of 25, 30, type game at most. Like they're not able to keep up and keep scoring in that manner. I think a perfect snapshot of that was when they came to Coleman for the URC quarterfinal. They got nearly tried. They went in front, but their ability to just keep in touch and Munster pulled clear. They didn't have that. I think this year, if they get into a kind of, you know, a boxing fight where it's just throw punches and see what hits, they have a better chance. Like they really do, and you just never know. They could get like I know they've already beaten Glasgow, so a lot of probability says they won't win in Glasgow twice. But like if they got Glasgow, for instance, in a knockout game, you give them a puncher's chance. That's the thing. I don't think you would have last year. And that's kind of from an Irish perspective, that's where you want to see Connacht being. You want to see Connacht in that situation, but right now you're like, I can't trust Connacht to beat many teams as we've had a score in the top 14. So there you go. I won't tell you which one because I don't
No,
want
I
to
want
spoil
to
it.
know because I'm just going to go
Yeah.
watch the second half after we're recording anyway.
Bordeaux have just got 5-0 up. It's been absolutely crazy so far, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a opportunity a norm for UBB tonight. Okay, let's talk about the next game. I don't want to spend ages on this game, as reasons will become clear. So the Scarlets lost at home to the Stormers, who were bang average, and we weren't even bang average. Worst performance of the season from the Scarlets. I was really, really, really annoyed after the game. I put this one on the screen for decoration while I have a rant, but everything that was good about the Scarlets in the first half of the season, none of it was evident in this game. I think a lot of the boys look like they've been holding tackle bags for Wales for the last 8 weeks, which they have.
That's a lot of missed tackles there, isn't it?
Oh my days. There's like this isn't even the worst one. I can't remember whether it was Zass or Loader scored and just ran straight
he just
through.
ran straight through from a line out, didn't he?
Oh my God. And Scarlett's restarts, abysmal, embarrassing, not good enough. Like couldn't catch a cold off a restart. Like I said, just everything that was so good about the Scarlets in the first 10 games, none of it was present in this game. And you have to like go, boys, what changed? What have you forgotten how to do? Like what did I don't understand because
we were watching that game and my wife, who's not a defense expert by any means, said that was a big hole. He just got the ball, ran straight through, and just dotted it down.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, that's probably because at that point they were quite close, weren't they?"
Yeah, the Scots had gotten back and into it, even down to 14 men. I think we'd scored a try with 14 men, and we got them back into the game. Stormers, look, Sasha came back, played well enough. He got player of the match. I'm not sure he was player of the match. Willems are off the bench. Stormers had more of their Springboks back than they've had in other trips up north, but Scarlets, man, I think that's our top 8 hopes done. And the reason that you get so annoyed, like, when your team's rubbish for ages and you just kind of become numb to it.
Yeah, I do.
Like, there's just the Scarlets were really good for the first half of the season, and then it just completely disappeared in these last 3 games. And I don't understand it. I don't understand what they've gone wrong because the mistakes that they were making in this game, they haven't made all season. So, and that's our first defeat at the park for months. It's just really infuriating. But I guess Alan, Stormers, again, another one looking to put respectability on their season.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, in retrospect, it was a good weekend for the South African teams, but the Stormers clicked a bit more, didn't they? They didn't get everything right, but they definitely had a bit more of their game plan working to what we would normally say. I think they were all very confident. Sasha coming back seems to be their talisman, I guess you could say. And they were all everything they were trying to do. I mean, there was a lot of handling errors and your normal errors, but they did pull it together a little bit. And this is the kind of game. I mean, they're in the top 8 now, so from here you just want an opportunity, don't you? You want to be in the 8th position, and you're looking at the fixtures coming up for the Stormers, and I think they're in a pretty good position, and they have a good history in the URC as well, so that's going to bode well for them. So we have to see how it happens. But I'm obviously happy that the Stormers did won. I was expecting a bit more of a bigger margin after the first 2 tries. I thought they were going to walk away with it, but Scarlets did come back into the game. But yeah, good win for the Stormers.
Yeah. And then final game, Dragons versus Ulster. It's a bit harsh putting this last because it was 30 points to 34. So there was plenty of intrigue and lots of things happening in this game. It's funny because after the first try, I got a message off Big M, who presents the Scarlets podcast with me. He sent me a message saying, Dragons are playing well here. And I sent a message back saying, that won't last. And then a few minutes later, he sent me another message. It's like, they're like a couple of scores up now. I'm like, it won't last. And then he got to 10 minutes to go and they were still winning and they scored 30 points. And he was like, this is looking good for the Dragons. And I was like, And then I checked the score on full time and they'd lost. And I thought, phew, I'd have looked like an idiot otherwise. But look, it's great to see the Drag because I've seen highlights of it. They did play some nice rugby in this game. And it looks like they have been on the training pitch. This guy, Hugh Anderson in the 15, he's going to be a player. Remember that name. He has been the best thing about the Dragons all season. He's a really young kid. He's a live wire. Honestly, he's just got that confidence of youth that just, give me the ball, I'm going to do something. By a long way, the Dragons' best player this season, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him get capped in the summer against Japan. But Caolan, Ulster, God, they needed that.
There's like getting out of jail, and then there's your tight head prop wins a turnover, jackal turnover, picks it up,
And scores
runs
a try.
straight and scores a try, getting you out of jail. Can I just say I am a Scott Wilson truther. I think he is legit. I think he should be Ireland captain this summer, and if he's not, I may hold a formal protest outside of Ravenhill. But Jesus, Ulster, it needs to be easier than this. Like you look at their team, they had McCluskey and Hume in the centres, Lowry was in the back three, and Nathan Doak will be their 9 now long term. John Cooney is leaving at the end of the season, so he's going to be their man. They had Timoney, McCann, Alan O'Connor, Tom O'Toole, Rob Herring. They all started, and yet they're scraping past the Dragons. And like, I give Ulster an awful lot of leeway this season because they had injuries. Now they're starting to clear up a bit. Now they still have Werner Koch to come back. They still have Robert Balakoon to come back, so on and so forth. But it's like, lads, you need to be winning these games with more comfort. This time last year, they were going to the Scarlets, for instance, and turning them over with a team with more injuries than this. The Scarlets team was better than this Dragons team. And they were the games they were winning. They were beating Leinster. Now it's very hard to see Ulster leading out, and to use that puncher's chance analogy, unless they just kind of get it right on the day a small bit, but they're not consistently. I'm actually going to be in Bordeaux for the European round of 16 game. There won't be a European quarterfinal, if we're being honest, for Ulster this season, which is the disappointing part. And unfortunately, there mightn't be a European round of 16 games for next year either, because right now it's very hard to trust them for top 8 because, to use the kind of who has who left in the fixtures, and every time I do this, my laptop just says, freeze, I'm going to wait a second. But Ulster, their next couple of games, they have Leinster away. Sorry, the Stormers at home. You'd imagine they'll win that. You would give them the benefit of the doubt there. Leinster away, Sharks at home, Munster away, Edinburgh at home last game of the season. They've no guaranteed wins. They probably have one guaranteed loss. So when you're trying to pick up momentum and get into that top 8, you're scraping past the Dragons. Lads, I've given you enough rope. Now you just need to show that you can do it when everyone's on the field, because that's the issue. Nearly everyone's back on the field. You're not showing it. So something has to give.
Absolutely. So that has ticked off all of the URC games. Well done, everybody. That was a fantastic effort. Before we just preview next week, just want to remind everybody to like the video and subscribe. If you've gotten this far already, you're clearly enjoying yourself, so why not stick around? This show tends to be one of the more popular ones on the channel, but there are loads of other ones. If you want to get the exclusively Welsh view, a voice from all 4 Welsh regions, if you think I'm biased, which is fair, you can get that view on the Wrap main pod. There's a podcast for each individual region, and there's even a podcast for women's rugby, and it is the Women's Six Nations. So we're going to touch on that very quickly. The Women's Six Nations going on at the moment. So England versus Italy today. Not the best game you've ever seen in your life. Probably Italy will be the happier. They lost 38 points to 5 to England, but anyone who knows women's rugby knows that the Red Roses are absolutely untouchable at the moment. It was a rotated Red Roses team in York, and yeah, not an exciting game, but I think if anyone, Italy will be happier. Caolan, from an Ireland point of view, kind of the scoreline doesn't really tell the fair story of the match against France. It was 3 tries each, but a 12-point scoreline in the end.
Yeah, that's the really frustrating part. I know you watched this one as well. It was probably a game that Ireland deserved to win, if we're being honest, for about an hour of it. But, and I'm kind of repeating myself with a lot of cliches this evening, championship minutes. Like France, first 10 minutes, last 10 minutes is when they got, what was it, like 20 of their 25 points or something like that in that period, or sorry, about 17 of their 25 points was in that period. That's what good teams do, and like sport can be just that simple sometimes. That is what good teams do. Um, Disappointing for Ireland, but like if you want a reason to, well, if you want a reason to follow women's rugby, number one, why not? Number two, it's a World Cup year. And number three, if you're Irish, for instance, the likes of Aoife Wafer, Aaron King, these people are stars. Like if I'm being entirely honest, Aoife Wafer is the best back row in Irish rugby. Like, and I no
She's
problem saying that.
unbelievable.
Like another like 17 carries and 12 tackles in this game, in a game where Ireland kind of stopped making tackles for about half an hour, is just unbelievable numbers. She's insane. A lot of players really played well. Linda Zhugang again, just seamless between loose head and tight head. And as we said, it's a World Cup year. There's loads of reasons to be excited if you're an Irish fan. And I know the likes of yourself, myself, we're all doing podcasts on the Six Nations at the moment, and it can be hard with, you got the likes of Bordeaux Toulouse going on tonight, and you had Munster Glasgow and whatever else. It can get lost in it, but like a very high quality game, that Ireland will be very disappointed. Like it's their narrowest margin of defeat to France in the last 3 years, but they actually look like they should have won it for large matches, which I think is credit to them. And knowing a couple of girls in that squad, there's a very good vibe in that camp as well. So I'm hoping it'll be a big year for Irish women's rugby.
Well, the big game for them now is Scotland, because it's a weird women's Six Nations is in a weird place, because if England don't win a Grand Slam, it'll be the shock of all shocks. If France don't finish second with one defeat against England, it'll be the shock of all shocks. And then you kind of got Ireland and Scotland, who are both going for that second place, but whoever both going for the third place, but whoever gets that third place isn't going to get tons of credit for finishing third. But if they don't get it, it will be seen as a failure. So it's just a bit of a weird contest there. And then you've got Wales. So Wales played Scotland on Saturday. Last time we played Scotland, we got absolutely destroyed. That was in a warm-up for WXV. It was one of the low points of Wales under Johan Cunningham last season. This was Sean Lynn's first game in charge of Wales, and just instantly better. Look, he's only had 5 days prep. He's come off the PWR final and come into the Wales team with 5 days prep, which is ridiculous. And there's a bigger conversation to be had about that. But clearly a better vibe. Clearly things are going. They're clearly the correct appointments. It's a bit of a free hit, these first 2 games. We're playing England next. That's a free hit. No one's going to judge him on that. But yeah, good signs for Wales going down 24-21 in the end. Scotland getting the job done. Again, when that Scotland team got announced, everybody said that's a strong lineup. That's a team that should be getting third in the Six Nations. But again, Scotland just kind of in that zone of whatever they're going to achieve, they're not going to get tons of credit for it. So it's just a weird Six
Big
Nations.
year for Scotland, as you said, because like even just the fact that to put in their bare bones, their 3 home games this year are Wales, Italy, and Ireland. They're 3 contenders for top 3. Scotland haven't done that in a long, long time. I think it's like 25 years, I think. When I looked it up, it's a long time since they broke the top 3. But it's a big year for them, a big year for Ireland. I think Wales, as you said, probably a bigger question to be asked about why Sean Lynn was brought in when we knew this about PWR final and so on and so forth. But if the what we hear about him matches on field, they're going to be in for a big year as well. If they're the unknown quantity, as they so often are, and they would be if we didn't have the URC. For the last 15 years, we wouldn't know anything about them, the Six Nations either. But they're thereabouts. They're going to probably give someone a bloody nose as well. I think it's set up to be a titanic tussle in this year's Women's Six Nations, because there's one team who's so far ahead. There's another team who are a good bit ahead of the rest, and then there's 4 teams battling for that coveted third place spot. It's really good to see.
Absolutely. So we're going to finish the show by doing our predictions for next week. Quick fire predictions for round 14 of the URC. So first game up on Friday night, 7:35 kickoff, Ulster versus Stormers. Caolan, who are you picking to win this one?
I will pick Ulster for this one, as I said it a few minutes ago, so I may as well. Stormers' record in Ireland is pretty poor. They've lost to Munster twice, lost to Connacht once, lost to be fair, they drew with Leinster once as well, but haven't beaten Ulster in Ravenhill yet, so I'll go with Ulster.
Alan, where are you going?
I'll go with Stormers. I'll go with the Stormers for that one. I think they're riding on a bit of a wave at the moment, and I've got nothing to lose. So there you go.
Yeah. Edinburgh Dragons, Ben, should be business as usual, routine win.
It's a minimum expectation is a 5-point bonus, 5-point bonus win, 4 tries, and I think we'll get the big guns back. I think Darcy and I'll be back next Friday, so I'd expect nothing less. But we have to win. We have to win our pretty much 4 of our last 5 games, I think, to get top 8 now as a minimum.
From a Dragons point of view, I think finish within 10 is a good enough result for that. That's respectable. It's about respectability for the Dragons, unfortunately, at this point. Bulls versus Zebra. Ooh, I'm actually a little bit excited about that in this one. Alan, which way are you seeing that one going?
I think the Bulls will take that. It was probably be closer than we all think. It'll probably be like 12,
it won't be plus 37, Caolan, will it? I don't think.
You have no proof of that, then. You have no proof of that.
Not anymore.
Ben, can Zebra do it? Come on, imagine.
Oh, it'd be great if they did. I mean, to get 2 loser bonus points yesterday, they could get another 2. Next weekend if they carry on in a similar vein. You just don't know. You don't know. Just fantastic season for them. And like you said, there's chat that they may not disband now. They may stay where they are, which is pretty cool.
Absolutely. That's what we're told, is that they are no longer up for sale, which is exciting.
Yeah.
These are weird kickoff times. 2:30 on Saturday. Connacht versus Munster. That Caolan has to
Yeah. I have a reason why it's at 2:30. It's because the Alliance Football League finals are taking place in Gaelic football. So TG Cahir, the broadcaster for this game, the host broadcaster, is showing those games on Saturday evening. Whatever about the result, I think Connacht will probably win it, because this is what Connacht do. They win games like these. 25,000 people packed into a non-rugby stronghold. Castlebar, Westport, Ballina region of Mayo is a very strong rugby area. I think it's great for the northwest of Ireland and for the west of Ireland to see a big game there. Connacht need to perform. Munster do as well. Munster in 6, but Munster will be looking at themselves and wondering, how do we not pick up another 6 points from our last 2 games at the same time? They can't get away with it another time. If they lose next weekend, they will be outside the top 8, because all the results conspire to help them. Each of the last 2 weeks, I feel like Connacht should win. Munster probably should win with what's on paper when we see them line up, because we're expected to see Craig Casey back, for instance. Could see Sean Klein back, and then the Irish internationals as well. Should be great, but I'm really excited that this is a spectacle. For Irish listeners, for Irish viewers of the podcast, I'm a big believer in shared stadia in Ireland. I think we have wrongly gone down the one sport per stadia route. Given the country, I want to see more shared stadia. I want to see more rugby matches in GA grounds, soccer matches in rugby grounds, whatever it may be. Or football, I should say, for our UK listenership, which there'll be a large amount.
Welsh people call it soccer as well.
Well,
some of them do, some of them don't. Don't at me in the comments. I'm not interested in having that argument.
But I'll go Connacht to win, and hopefully a great day out in Castlebar.
Cool. Scarlets versus Ospreys. Oh my god, I don't want to play this game. I would quite happily never play the Ospreys again. Look, the thing that we're relying on as Scarlets fans in this one is that old thing of, in Welsh derbies, the wrong team always wins. And at the moment, the Scarlets are the wrong team. So there you go. That's why we're going to win. Ospreys are on form. They've got the wood over the Scarlets. When they were terrible pre-Christmas, Mark Jones's first game, Scarlets were miles better than them in that game, and the Ospreys still won. So, like I said, the Ospreys have got a hoodoo over the Scarlets at the moment, and they're absolutely clear favourites coming into this game. The Scarlets need to buck their ideas up massively if they're going to make this one competitive. But having said that, I am told that this is already the Scarlets' biggest gate of the season with that was a week and a half out from the game. It was already the biggest gate of the season. So just hoping for a competitive game and a great atmosphere. And obviously, as a Scarlets fan, I'm hoping for a victory. But I think the Ospreys are the favourites. Ooh, Alan, Sharks versus Leinster. Ooh, this
is a toss-up. This is toss-up. I would say it's going to be tough in Durban. It's going to be hot, depending on the weather. Humid. Leinster have lost a couple of players to HIAs and stuff, so they're not going to have, those players not being there are going to make a difference. But we know what the Sharks have been performing like this season. So it literally is a toss of a coin in this one. I think the Sharks can definitely beat Leinster at home. I think there's definitely a chance of that happening. But Leinster are Leinster, and they're very, very, very rare for them to lose. I can't remember them losing 2 games in a row. You guys would have to tell me when that last happened.
Last time they went to South Africa, they did. Lions and...
Yeah, that was a second-string team, though, wasn't it?
No,
it was a third-string
last
team.
time. 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
No, last season, definitely, they lost to
Lions and Stormers.
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 Oh, yes. I think
Because it was the Warwick Land dummy, do you remember?
Yeah.
Yes, I am. I was thinking of the Lions game 2 years ago where, ironically, Sam Prendergast made his debut and Leinster pulled out the bag. I would go Sharks here. Now, Leo Cullen came out after the game and said, we're probably going to bring back a couple of our internationals. Does he mean Tadhg Furlong, who's played 20 minutes basically since December, or does he mean, Andrew Porter, who doesn't get a rest? I'll go Sharks now, but if Leinster go full hole, probably go with Leinster. But if they do, then are they kind of buying wins from the future? I don't know. We'll see.
Ooh, that's a great analogy. I'm going to go Sharks, but I really don't know. Benetton versus Cardiff. That's another tough one to call. I would be shocked to see Cardiff steal this. It's mad seeing the Benetton are 10th and Cardiff are 5th. Cardiff have done well this season. I don't know. Ben, what do you reckon? Benetton, Cardiff?
Yeah, I think Cardiff will beat Benetton if Benetton play like they did yesterday. If Cardiff just have some structure in the back line, game management, they'll win.
Ooh, interesting. And then Glasgow versus Lions. That should be routine enough for Glasgow, surely, Ben?
Yeah, I'd expect so. I think they'll have a couple of their big guns back as well. Like both. I think Xander and Matt Vegas will be back, and Hugh Jones will probably be back. I think Glasgow will win. Bonus point win for them.
Alan, any hope for you boys?
I don't think so. I hope so, but I doubt it. I think that's a pretty.
Wait, you're in Scotland for the next 2 weeks, aren't they? Because you're at Glasgow, then you've got us again away the following Friday. Chelm's got round of 16, so Scottish fortnight coming up for you guys.
Hotel bill up the wazoo. Right, that brings us to the end of the show. Congratulations, everybody. Well done. We did it. If you have gotten this far, you clearly enjoyed it. So if you're not subscribed, have a word with yourself and get subscribed. We are well on the way to more subscribers than we already have. I can't remember how many we're on, but we'll get in there. Always get involved in the comments. The lads love to jump in and be instigators and rile people up. I love to not respond to the comments, but remember them. And then 2 weeks later, when the thing that the commentator said to me turns out to be so wrong, I just go back and just say hi to them.
I think that's nearly worse. At least Lee is like, excuse me, clickbait? No, never.
Yeah. If you see someone replying on the official rap account, that's producer Lee. None of the rest of us have the login to be able to do that. It's producer Lee is doing that. None of us are having an argument with you under false pretenses. So that just leaves for me to say thank you to the Rugby ABC, South African Alan, Policeman Ben, and that Caolan.
Thanks.
Cheers, lads.
Cheers.
Thank you.
And enjoy the rugby, and I hope everybody's team wins. Cheers.
That was the United Rugby Rewind. Please rate, review and share us on socials if you can, and join us next week for more of the same. And until then, enjoy your rugby.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.